Janavallabha Girvaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Murlidhara Radha Murlidhara Shri Radhe Jaya Gaurachandra Jaya Gaurachandra Jaya Gaurachandra Jaya Gaurachandra Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So we are reading today from Canto 10, Chapter 22, 2 verses today, 16 and 17. So I'll just read through the verse, the translation and the purport. So this is verse 16. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bhavyato yadi medasyo mayoktam va karishyatha atra katya swavasamshi pratichata shuchi smitaha no chennaham pradasye kim krudho raja karishyati. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, if you girls are actually my maidservants, and if you will really do what I say, then come here with your innocent smiles and let each girl pick out her clothes. If you don't do what I say, I won't give them back to you. And even if the king becomes angry, what can he do? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada comments, when the gopis saw that Krishna was strong and determined, they had no alternative but to abide by his order. This is verse number 17. Tato jalashayat sarva darika shitave pitaha panibhyam yoniyachadya protre rushita karshitaha. Translation. Then shivering from the painful cold, all the young girls rose up out of the water, covering their pubic area with their hands. Purport. The gopis had assured Krishna that they were his eternal servants and would do whatever he said, and thus they were now defeated by their own words. If they delayed any longer, they thought, some other man might come along, and this would be unbearable for them. The gopis loved Krishna so much that even in that awkward situation, their attachment to him was increasing more and more, and they were very eager to stay in his company. Thus, they did not even consider drowning themselves in the river because of the embarrassing situation. They concluded that they could do nothing wrong, that they could do nothing but go forward to their beloved Krishna, putting aside their embarrassment. Thus the gopis assured each other that there was no alternative and rose up out of the water to meet him. Om Agyantimirandhasya Gyananjanashadakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sa Advaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So I'd like to seek the blessings of all the assembled devotees, offline, online, especially His Grace Adi Purush Prabhu. Arjun Prabhu, I don't see him here, but I'm sure he's there somewhere in the building, wherever he may be. So this is, when I signed up for the class today, I had no idea what I was getting into. But nonetheless, we'll try to look at all these very, very important verses through the lens of Krishna consciousness. So we see that in the previous chapter, all the gopis, they were absorbed in describing the wonderful pastimes of Krishna playing his flute and the effect it had on all the residents of Vraja. And they also wanted some kind of reciprocation. All the living entities are actually drawn and attracted to Krishna. And this happens all the more in Vrindavan, all the more in Vraj, in a much more spontaneous way. And so this chapter, chapter 22, is showing this reciprocation from Krishna's side now, with the love that the gopis had towards him. In their hearts, the gopis wanted a very intimate relationship with Krishna, conjugal love. So if you see, reciprocation is the heart of this entire pastime. So because they wanted to have a very deep connection, a more intimate relationship with Krishna, they worshipped, all the gopis there worshipped goddess Katyayani to attain Krishna as their husband. And when Krishna steals their garments, this is the reciprocation that they received in a most unusual, but in a very, very instructive way. This reciprocation is taking place. So we see in the previous two verses, in verses 14 and 15, that once Krishna, he comes and he steals the garments. They're using, there's a saying in Artha Shastra. Okay, it's written by I think it's by Kautilya or Chanakya Pandit. Sorry, I forget who has written it. But it's the famous thing is that use Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed. Okay, means use whatever possible means are there to get your job done. So in verses 14 and 15, we see that initially, especially in verse 14, we see that the gopis are using the means of Sam. Sam means actually, it's one of the first steps. They're trying to use a more reconciliatory method. Okay, they refer to relationship that yes, we are girls of the same village. What will happen in the future if you do this or if you don't do this, or they put themselves, in this position. It's basically they praise him, saying that, oh, you're the cowherd boy, you're always protecting us. So they're using more reconciliatory methods. Okay. And then in verse 15, they start using the word, they start using the method of dam or dan. It means the same thing. It means giving a gift or a compensation that, okay, you do this and I will give you this. So it's an incentive. So they say that, okay, we are surrendered unto you. We will do whatever you say, but give us our clothes back first. Okay, so that's the method they use. And finally, they start using bhed. Bhed means actually they use like, Bhed actually means using a lot of trickery, kind of ways to influence the mind. It kinds of create a kind of a fear or a kind of a discord in the mind of the opposite person. So, they say finally in the previous verse, in verse 15, that if you don't give us our clothes, we're going to complain to King Kamsa. So they're using everything possible in their means to get their garments back. But the fact is that when you have an opponent like Krishna on the opposite side, none of these things are going to work. And it's mentioned that Prabhupada mentions in the purport that they get caught in their own words. They mention that, yes, we are your eternal maid servants. We will do whatever you tell us to do. So Krishna uses exactly these words and he catches them. And he's like, yes, if you are my maid servants, then come out and take your clothes. Just as simple as that. And yeah, they had no choice, but they had to just like come out of the waters of Yamuna to take their garments back. And this is exactly what Krishna wanted. Because Krishna was not looking at the physical beauty of the gopis. Yes, no doubt they were beautiful beyond comparison, but he was looking at purely at their spiritual beauty, the love that they had for him. Beyond this material body, he was looking at their soul, which was filled with nothing else but unalloyed true devotion, true love towards him. And come on, like, why would even Krishna look for material pleasures? He is the epitome of all beauty. He is the source of all beauty. He is the one who has actually created the gopis. Is anything impossible in this entire existence, material or spiritual, which is not there, which he can't enjoy? No. In fact, if you see, I mean, some people say that, oh, this Krishna, he only, he wants to only embrace beautiful girls. But no, that's not the fact. Krishna, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, embraced Vasudev Vipra, who had such a terrible leprosy that he had worms all over his body. And yet, this same Krishna, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, hugged him, embraced him, because of his love and surrender towards him. Because this love towards Krishna was so complete and so pure. Krishna is looking only at our intentions. He's only looking at our love, our desire to please him beyond anything else. And this is the heart of reciprocation. There is a story about the sages Nar Narayan, who are performing great severe austerities for the benefit of entire mankind. And Indra, the king of heavens, he feels threatened that, oh my God, why are they performing so many austerities? Do they want my heavenly kingdom or what? So he sends all his best courtesans, apsaras, what we call them, to break their penance. So basically what they were supposed to do is they was to go down and, kind of like try to seduce Nar Narayan. Okay. And for this purpose, he even sends Kamdev or Cupid along with his wife, to join their dance. And these apsaras are extremely beautiful. They're heavenly damsels. Like even the most beautiful woman in this world, she's like nothing compared to what these apsaras look like. But Nar Narayan, they're not even in the least bit affected by this. And Narayan, he actually decides that he now has to break the pride of the apsaras who think that, oh my God, we are so beautiful. So what does Narayan do? He slaps his thigh. And from that thigh, Urvashi, the apsara named Urvashi, she emerges. And her beauty leaves Indra's apsaras completely matchless. And they all are so ashamed of their evil act. Ultimately, it's a long story, they kind of reach a reconciliation, and Narayan say, we're not in the least bit interested in all this material, mundane beauty. We are doing these penances only for the benefit of mankind. If you want, you can even take Urvashi with you. So Urvashi actually goes to the heavenly kingdoms, and now she's a courtesan over there. So if you see, all beauty comes from Krishna. And his desires and Krishna's desires are ever pure, ever blissful. the problem sometimes is that people get so caught up in these externalities of things that they forget and that they completely miss the essence of this entire pastime, of why Krishna is performing this pastime eternally in the spiritual world and even in all the universes, Nitya Leela, in all the universes of this material world. He's doing this to show us what true surrender actually looks like. Through this pastime, Krishna is actually, he's asking us that, like the gopis, are you willing to be internally bare and truthful in front of Guru and Krishna with all your faults, all your conditionings? And are you willing to sincerely say that, Krishna, I am full of faults, I am full of misgivings, only you can help me, please save me. He's asking us if we are willing to set aside all our inhibitions in one sense, all our embarrassment, and completely surrender to the will of Krishna. Are we even aware of what all our faults are? Are we just in an illusion that what we think, what we do is the best, and what someone else says is, oh, too much beneath me? Are we willing to admit in front of Krishna that, yes, I have lust, I have anger, I have envy, I have greed in me, please help me? Because we all need to do this if we really want to go back to Godhead. No pain, no gain. For us, as practicing devotees, largely for all of us, some of you may be really great elevated souls, I'm sure. But for a vast majority of practicing devotees, this whole phase of anartha nivritti, getting rid of all our unwanted desires, that is the main thing for us to work on right now. And this is something that you have to work on day by day. It's not that, oh my God, we have to do this right now, completely surrender like the gopis. Just completely be completely open, honest, bare, in front of Guru and Krishna, internally bare, that is. No, this is going to be too much for our false ego to handle right now. But it's a process. It's a step, a conscious step we have to do daily, actually every moment. And once we practice, we work on this day by day. And once we reach the stage of nishtha, then our surrender to Krishna is more spontaneous, it's more natural. And we will ourselves be willing and we will want to surrender to Krishna because more and more Krishna will be attractive to us. And more we will be attractive to Krishna. And this is actually a very hard thing to do, like being wanting to surrender every minute, every day to Krishna with all our faults, all our conditionings, because it's so easy to go slack. Each day is different. Some days may be like really good, for us material, and we'll be like, oh, you know what, I'm good just the way I am. I think I'm okay. I don't know if I really need to ask Krishna anything right now. And some days when they are not so good, we'll be like, yes, Krishna, please help me. No, whether it's a good day or a bad day, ugly day, whatever day it is, we have to keep this fire burning within us. This fire of wanting to approach, this desire of wanting to approach Guru and Krishna at every minute, at every second to help us. And most importantly, it's also necessary that we gauge for ourselves why we want to get rid of our faults and shortcomings. Are we wanting to be free from them just because it's too much for us to handle and it's causing us misery? Or is it because we want to go back to the spiritual world to serve Krishna and his eternal associates there? It is the purity of our desire that is important. The gopis wanted to attain Krishna as their husband, not because they were motivated by a desire for personal sense gratification, but they just had a really, really deep, overwhelming desire to serve Krishna and to please him. This is what Krishna is looking for. This is what he's waiting for, actually. In fact, it's good to sometimes stop and think and look at the way how Krishna is looking at a situation. It's impossible for us to be in Krishna's shoes. I mean, it's not that I'm saying that, okay, we have to become Krishna, but try to look at things from Krishna's point of view, Try to look at if he's compassionate, if he's not giving up on someone, why should we? If he wants us to give up our faults and conditionings, yes, then we should try to act in that way. And this is not an easy thing to do. Yes, it requires a huge surrender, and it's actually very, very intense. And that is why when Krishna made such a huge demand, he knows, okay, these people are not yet ready to, to completely surrender. And that's why he comes in the form of Lord Chaitanya. And he's teaching us how to do this, how to be surrendered to the gopis. And he teaches us in the most beautiful way by chanting Hare Krishna. This attitude of the gopis is described by Lord Chaitanya when he prays in the 8th verse of Shikshashtakam. Ashlishyava padaratam pinastumam darshanam mamahatam karotuva yatha tata va vidadhato lampato mathapranathas tasayava napara. My Lord Krishna, you may embrace me, or you may trample me under your feet, or you may make me heartbroken by not being present before me. Whatever you like, you can do, because you have complete freedom to act. But in spite of all your dealings, you are my Lord eternally, and I have no other worshipable object. This is the attitude that the gopis had towards Krishna. There was no lust, no mundane lust. There can't be any lust between Krishna and the gopis. It is just this pure surrender that Krishna wants, and the gopis that they are exhibiting. And now Krishna is also, as we'll see in the future verses, he is saying that, yes, I've reciprocated with you so far, but there is more reciprocation awaiting you when we're going to have the rasa dance later. Like when I was reading through these verses, when I was like, this is so completely beyond me. This is not going to be possible for me to do. And I always think that, it's going to take me lifetimes upon lifetimes for me to just kind of like reconcile to the fact that, yes, I will have to do this. I'm not even at that stage where I'm willing that this happens to me, that Krishna tests me in these ways, that I have to completely surrender to him. But I'm reminded of the fact that time and again of the fact that it's going to be possible because of Srila Prabhupada. Because he's made this whole process so easy. He's telling us, just chant Hare Krishna faithfully, with true attention, proper attention. Just follow the 4 regulative principles. Just follow my instructions. And he is guaranteeing that we'll go back to Godhead. And this doesn't mean that these kind of tests that the gopis underwent, that it's not that Krishna is not going to give us these tests. Mind you, these tests are always going to come. But our surrender to Krishna will also increase. And that is Prabhupada's guarantee, a Vaishnava Acharya's guarantee. So, I'll just like to end this class by praying at the lotus feet of Shri Radha Murlidhar Gaurchandra Narasimhadev, and of course to Srila Prabhupada, to help us overcome any hesitations, any restrictions that I am placing on myself in fully surrendering to Krishna. Because ultimately, yes, we also have to work on this. We have to have this desire to approach Krishna and Guru. We have to have this desire to approach Krishna with a prayer saying that, yes, please help me. This pastime is actually very, very instructive. It is completely instructive. There is no tinge of material lust, as the moralists keep pointing out again and again. Everything in Krishna's pastimes is full of rasa, it's full of instructions. We just have to pray to the acharyas. We just have to pray to Krishna. We just have to pray to Srila Prabhupada to shed light on the shed proper light, on the instructions, so we can take it in the right spirit. And ultimately, that is the only hope that we have in going back to Godhead. So I'd like to end the class here. In case if there are any questions, any comments, any corrections, then yes, I'm open to it. Please. Okay, let me see if there is.
If there is no question from the live audience, there is a beautiful question from Alan Prabhu. which is, should we admit our faults to other devotees or just to Krishna?
We should admit our faults to the devotees we have trust in, because Krishna comes in our life through devotees. Yes, he's there as in the form of the deity, he's there in the form of his holy name. But our mind is always there to play tricks on us. We'll be approaching the deity, we'll be approaching the holy name and saying, yes, Krishna, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? Please help me. And internally, our mind will tell us, yes, 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 you're doing the right thing. And I'm not sure if whether the mind is telling you the right thing or no. So it is always, always advisable. We have to follow Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So Shastra is, yes, Shastra is the form of Krishna, but we also have Guru and Sadhu. In fact, out of the three, two of them are like living personalities, Guru and Sadhu. So Guru and Vaishnavas. So yes, we have to approach not just any devotee, but a devotee who is regularly guiding us, who knows us personally, who is who's not going to, who doesn't have basically any ulterior motive, who's there only to instruct us and help us on our way back to Krishna. So towards such devotees, yes, we should try our best to reveal our heart. It's the Dati Pratigranati. Yes, we have to reveal our mind, in confidence to some devotee who we have trust and faith in, and even accept things from them. But a really important thing is that, yes, we should be ready then for their instructions and guidance. So be sure to whom you are going to. That's the most important thing. But yes, definitely we should go to someone. Yes, Adipurush Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Fantastic class. Your spiritual master is empowering you. There's no other explanation. Just a wonderful class where we can only reflect some of the things you mentioned. And of course, you're speaking about the subject of total surrender, being completely open. And it says that the devotee's life is an open book. We see Srila Prabhupada in his personal presence with us. He has no private life. Every moment he's in the every activity all day, 24/7, is exposed to us so that we can have confidence that, yes, this person is showing by his example that he's completely satisfied in devotional service. He doesn't want anything else. It's not that he has a public vision, exposure, and something he does when nobody's looking. So that tendency, you're talking about the gopis having private parts of their body. If there's anything that in the recesses, in the dark corners of our house, of our consciousness, that we think we'd rather not tell anybody about, we can relax and like you said, it's not, we don't expose ourselves to anyone and everyone, but when you go to the doctor, you say, where does it hurt? And you have to show him the wound. You have to tell him where the pain is. And we're working on ourselves. We had experience in the growing up in the Catholic Church. They have this procedure called confession. And even at like 7 years old, they teach you, go regularly to the counselor, to the priest. And first you examine your conscience. It means like Krishna in the heart is the conscience. And the Lord, where's the next step? I want to turn my life over to you, every detail, piece by piece. Examine your conscience, and then go there and share with the authorized person the places where there's improvement needed. And then they make this beautiful prayer. Lord, I'm sorry for offending. I'm sorry for my misdeeds. I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell, but most of all, I confess because I've offended you, my Lord, who are worthy of all my love. So we don't want to displease Krishna. When you mentioned that gopis wanted to please Krishna. And as the analogy extrapolates, if a girl exposes herself to the husband, and there's an openness and there's some coming together, what happens is another living entity, another soul comes into the world. So besides giving ourselves to Krishna, Krishna will empower us to care for others as if they're our children, as if they're taking shelter of us. So we want to give ourselves to Krishna for the sake of pleasing Krishna in the best way. And Krishna says, no one is more dear to me than one who shares this message with another person. So Prabhupada said we're meant to not just be Krishna conscious, but we have to give Krishna consciousness. Okay, over to Prabhupada and Krishna.
Thank you, Adi Purush Prabhu. Yes, it was a very nice and relevant point that Prabhupada's life was like an open book. And as an Acharya, it was very, very necessary for him to do that. And definitely at that stage, at the stage of Uttama Bhakti, a person is like an open book, because his life is actually meant to be as an example for other devotees to follow. So that's a very good point. We have to ultimately reach that way, giving up our any ulterior motives or whatever it may be there. I mean, it's not that we have to go too much against our nature. Okay, if a person is private, okay, then they might just be like that way. But at least in the sense, we have to be open that yes, when it comes to our dealings with other devotees, when it comes to setting an example, yes, we have to be open for that fact. We have to be a clean slate. We have to be we have to try our best to put our best foot forward to be the right example for people. So thank you for saying that, for bringing this point out. Yes, we have Anand Manjari.
Hare Krishna. I will first voice a question from the chat by Vinisha, and then I would like to ask mine. So a question from Vinisha is, could you give some practical examples of how you work on anartha and nivritti on a daily basis? Hare Krishna.
Well, I'm not such a great expert on this topic, as as anartha nivritti is actually one of the most longest and one of the most difficult phases amongst the 9 steps towards reaching towards prem. From my side, I can say that yes, anartha nivritti is, first of all, at least for me personally, how I look at it is that you have to be aware, be conscious of the fact that, and accept the fact that yes, I do have anarthas. I think for a lot of us, just coming to that step, that accepting that yes, I have this problem, I have this anartha and I need to work on it, is a challenge. We don't even know sometimes. I'm not saying that okay, we're trying to just ignore this fact that yes, I have this. No, sometimes we're not even aware that we have. And it is with dealing with other devotees that we actually come to know, and asking maybe feedback from them, that we may actually know what the anarthas are. And definitely the best way to get rid of anarthas is actually having a very strong and deep sadhana. Chanting really, really good rounds. Reading regularly Srila Prabhupada's books. And most importantly, having this desire to get rid of our anarthas. Because even within anartha nivritti, there are so many categories and subcategories. It's a very, very large topic. But it is just actually following Prabhupada's instructions of daily chanting good regular rounds, following the 4 regulative principles. At the least bit, not committing Vaishnava aparadh, that actually little by little our anarthas will go away. However, my knowledge on this is a bit limited. I must agree to that. So if any of the other devotees, online, offline, would like to shed more light on this, how they are personally working on this, some examples which you feel you can share on this open forum, then that would be really nice.
Hold on, I'm online.
Okay. God Sharan Prabhu. If you would like to shed some light on this. Adipush Prabhu, would you like to say? Yeah, okay. Okay, just 1 minute.
Yeah, what the Shastra say? Shastri Bhakti or Bhagavatam Yikinchana. Sarvagyanas Tattva Samastate Sura. That if we have full faith in Guru and Krishna and are engaged in their service, all the good qualities develop. So it's not that I might be able to discern every single discrepancy in my character, but throw ourselves into devotional service, scripture, have full faith in Guru, hearing from Guru, hearing from here, faith develops, and devotional service. The miracle of devotional service is, including here in the Bhagavatam, is that it cleanses all the dirty things from the heart, right? By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord, who is in our heart, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages. So this hearing is purifying and serving is purifying, just like when the sun comes and it shines on a dirty place on the sidewalk where somebody has urinated, the sun sanctifies that place, sanitizes that place. It's very powerful. So we expose ourselves to devotees and association of the spiritual master and devotional service, and the process works. At least that's what Guru and Shastra say, isn't it?
Yes. Thank you, Adipurush Prabhu. Anand Manjari?
Yes, Hare Krishna. So my question was related to the surrender when you mentioned how we cannot be like the gopis and surrender at like everything at once. Perhaps it's also because it would just be like a shock to the system. And I'm also curious about that balance between like Srila Prabhupada also saying that we can become pure devotees within one moment if we truly surrender, and also doing it incrementally so that it becomes sustainable. Like, could you speak about kind of the spectrum of these two, and how do we find ourselves on the spectrum between like kind of doing it in baby steps and also just like kind of leaping for Krishna in surrender?
And that's a good question, because often sometimes I get this doubt in my mind. I have only this lifetime I have to work on. So I really need to take some huge drastic steps to really plunge deep in my Krishna consciousness and try to make it in this lifetime itself. Be ready to go back to Godhead at the end of my life. So our desire within should be that, yes, we should try to make it in this life itself. Try to be completely Krishna conscious at the least towards the end of our life, which can come, by the ways, at any moment. So yes, this desire has to be really, really strong within us. But it depends on each person where they are and how much they are willing to take a deep plunge to actually do this. So it's honestly for each person to gauge for themselves. You have to gauge for yourselves each day that, yes, today I'm going to do this. Today I'm going to try to really, really chant good rounds. Today I'm really going to spend at the minimum half an hour in just reading Srila Prabhupada's book. And this is my way of surrendering to Krishna. I'm going to have a really, really busy day today because of work, this, that, or whatever it may be. But I am going to remove this time to try my best to show to Krishna that, yes, I want to go back to him. And this in itself is a huge task. If we're ever presented with the opportunity of, like doing a really big project, or, like, for example, like helping and building a temple, or doing some huge outreach program for getting more and more people to Krishna consciousness, yes, we should try our best to do that if it's within our time and if it's within our capacity. But because these things, they really like give a huge push to our Krishna consciousness. But even if we're not able to do that, the very fact that we have this desire to do this, the very fact that we are sincere in wanting to do this in itself is a huge step. Yes, Krishna will be pleased because he is at the end of the day looking at our intentions. Because we are materially, physically, emotionally, mentally kind of like captured in this body. And we have only limited time, energy that we can put in so many things that we want to do. So just by merely having this whole desire, intention is also a huge step. But also that also doesn't mean that if it is within your means, within your limits to work on something big out there, that we should say no to it. No, I can't do it. No, we should try our best to do it. Just be a part of the group. Honestly, sometimes just being part of the group also helps, because nothing can be done in silos. We have to do it together in a group. So yes, it's for each person to gauge out, but where depending on every situation, depending on every circumstance, that yes, whether we have to take a deep plunge here, whether it is within my time, or yes, I think it's right now time for me to just calm down and take some baby steps and just wait for the right minute where, yes, I'll be ready to do some big thing, and desiring that, most importantly. So I hope that answered your question. I don't know if it was satisfactory or not, but
It was. Thank you.
thank you. Yes, Bhima Prabhu.
Haribo Prabhujini. I think the reason why that you don't have much experience in Anartha Nivritti is because you probably didn't have to get rid of much. It's probably like one thing.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. She's well past that.
I'm actually one of those persons who probably isn't even aware of what the anarthas are. That's why I'm not an expert at it.
Yes, you're unaware of how pure you are, and such an inspiration. On another note, I think the answer I find, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the answer is in the pastime itself. The gopis praying for Krishna to be their husband. That prayer, and then of course that proof of prayer, which is to perform some kind of austerity over time to show the sincerity, because it's very easy to make a prayer. It's another thing to follow it up with, I'm praying again and again and again by my actions. But they prayed, and then they waited. It wasn't them that appeared that way in front of Krishna. It was Krishna's doing. They still had attachments to their clothes, just like we have attachments, I know I do, to everything that's around me. And so you pray to Krishna, if you must, if this is what it's all about, then disrobe me from my false ego, this encagement, this dress that I'm wearing. So, and then he does it. So I guess it sounds to me, tell me if I'm wrong, that if we simply pray in earnest and have patience, that Krishna will do the removing, and Krishna will do the, we're already kind of surrendered. He says we come to him by all people follow his path in all respects, meaning we surrender or he's going to get us. So please expand upon that.
This is a very, yes, thank you for bringing out this point. The conch is going to blow any minute. But yeah, I'll just very briefly say that yes, your point is right. The only thing that we have in our hands is praying, and let Krishna do the rest. And we have to wait for his time, when that rest will come, when that reciprocation will come. But at least from our side, the desire has to be sincere and true. So yeah, the conch is going to blow any minute. Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Thank you, all the devotees. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Nandini Radhika, Devi Dasi, Hare Krishna, Ki Jai. Nandini Radhika Prabhujini. Thank you, Nandini Radhika. Beautiful class.
Thank you so much. Thank you, all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Okay, welcome to the Afterglow, everybody. Venetia, are you wearing your headphones because you don't want to disturb Whiskey Das? Is he taking a nap? There he is. Hey, Whiskey. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I just wanted to make, Bhima Prabhu, nice comment. Andrea.
Her dog's name is Whiskey Das?
Yeah,
Whiskey?
Whiskey Das. Yeah, Whiskey Das. He's a devotee.
Whiskey.
Yeah. He follows the principles. Don't judge him by his name. Don't judge.
Yeah. Haribo.
Hare Krishna. What was I going to say? Yeah, I really liked Nandini Radhika's point that we are focusing on our sadhana, on something positive, instead of focusing on something negative, like the sins that we have to overcome, anarthas. We don't focus on that. That comes as a byproduct of devotional service, associating with the devotees. Then everything else comes as a byproduct. So would anyone else like to reflect or share? It's Sunday. And hey, Hare Krishna, Bhima's family, Bhima's extended family is here. Paula. Are you keeping Paula happy, Bhima Prabhu? Are you following the instruction you were given?
No, I'm not. I'm not listening to her right now, and therefore she's not very happy. Hold on. You are actually your face is laying in a wheelbarrow full of. I'm looking down at you. I'm wheeling you. You are in a wheelbarrow of horse manure right now, Prabhu. Okay, are you feeling humble? Your laugh is coming from a big pot.
Yes.
Hold on, let me clean the. See, that's where you were.
That's where I belong. That's where
all
I belong.
Married
yes.
men. All married men are in this wheelbarrow.
Yeah, and not listening to your spouse is a major anartha. Major.
It is.
Anartha.
We amazingly enough, we have to realize that when they're yelling at us, that's Krishna. That's Krishna yelling at us. Because if we're as tolerant as a tree, right? I mean, how are we going to be humble as a blade of grass unless we at least experience being stepped upon?
Exactly.
Or being as tolerant as a tree, you know, like an axe coming into your side. You know?
Yeah, some heavy analogies.
I want to show everybody this. This is all my anartha nivritti. See it all piled up? I have a ramp. This is a ramp leading to my anartha nivritti pile. See, I come out and look at my anartha nivrittis every day with pride because I've at least organized them. So, and had enough Lakshmi Devi to have someone come and haul it all away. Or maybe I can grow things in it. But anyways, I'm hogging up this afterglow.
Yeah. His Holiness Satyanananda Swami, he wants to use this analogy that when you do your business on the toilet, then you flush. You don't necessarily look down and try to figure things out, what's there, how it looks, and you just flush it down and you move on. So that's what we do with we just flush down whatever we've done in life that we're not proud of. Just don't look down, flush it down and move on. Focus on devotional service. And as the conch was blowing today, I was thinking, yes, this is the victory. This is another victory for Krishna. I showed up, I was there, I got purified by class. It was pleasing to Srila Prabhupada, pleasing to the devotees. I was with the devotees in the morning. That's it. That's the little victory. Now I can go out in the world and be protected. And Andrea has her hand blessing us.
No, I just wanted to quickly reflect that two of the things from Nandini Radhika, Devi Dasi Prabhu's class that I really resonated with was the idea of not getting stuck on the externals and going to the essence of the pastimes, or I kind of further put it for myself in terms of not just the pastimes, but the rituals that we do every day, the verses that we read, just like anything that we come in contact, just not getting stuck on the externals, even just like the people that we meet, not getting stuck on the externals. And I also really resonated with when she gave us the question, when she asked, if Krishna doesn't give up on us, then why should we? And that
Yeah,
was
I like
really,
that too.
that was really
a great point.
hope-giving. Yeah, because I loved how she was just like, I know that it's difficult to put ourselves in Krishna's shoes. We can't really think of it that way, but also just seeing ourselves with the loving and compassionate eyes of Krishna, who is our best friend. And I just, yesterday I was doing my Krishna Kids class with the little kids, and I just kept reminding myself to tell them, like, Krishna is God, and he loves you very much, and he is your best friend, and he wants what's best for us. And I would just say that. And I feel like if I have to repeat it to the kids, then I have to repeat it to myself, and maybe we need to repeat it to ourselves as well. Haribo.
Yeah, I think we should put Bhima Prabhu in your Bhakti Kids class. He's becoming childlike. We'll sign him up. He'll bring a pony. It's gonna be fun. He'll be like little Prahlad.
Bhima Prabhu, you can always audit it. You don't even have to pay. You can just come and show up.
Yeah.
We'll have pony rides. If I can catch the pony, that's the problem.
Yeah.
You don't like me. I got a beard.
Yeah. All right. Any other? Let's see if Rich Prabhu, are you in the barn of devotion, in the mansion of devotion? Where are you, or just on the path? Because Bhima Prabhu was talking about beards, and I know Rich, you shaved recently. Okay, he's probably driving, or maybe he's flushing something down. We don't know. Oh, Rich. Unmute yourself, Rich. Unmute. We like your Prabhupada hat. You look like Prabhupada, like an early disciple.
Well, I'm surely a servant, long way from a disciple. It's just that it's still pretty cold here in Maine. But I'll offer 2 cents. And again, remember the context where this is coming from. That very inexperienced, and I'm probably just coming to some very primitive thoughts and realizations that y'all came to, forgot, and remembered again 1,000 times already. But I have a, you could call it, I have a very simple one every day. I just have a beautiful print of Srila Prabhupada that I got off of Walmart.com, propped against the yoga block. And I get up at 4 a.m. every morning, and I sit and pray and chant rounds. I never make it to 16. I'm too slow. But I recently been thinking about the 4 regulative principles and the 16 rounds, because as I look at Prabhupada, I think, what would it take in whatever lifetime to actually become worthy of becoming a disciple of his? And I think about how the regulative principles they're on the surface, they're expressed as prohibitions. Don't do this, don't do that. Much like the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that. But those are really just the tip of the iceberg. And there's an affirmative flip side to each one of those. And as I go through them, I think, well, on the one hand, it seems so simple. Oh, don't eat meat. Sure, but why? Why? Because God is within and without everything and everybody, and within every word, within every concept, within every atom. And for God's sake, if nothing else, in this miserable world, just do as little harm as possible and love God everywhere. And when it comes to do not take intoxicants, well, sure, that's easy enough. I learned that after about 20 years. I can do that. And I think, well, isn't it the case? How intoxicated are we already? And greed and fear and envy, illusion, and so forth. And how covered are we already? What use is it to numb ourselves more when on the affirmative side, just remember who is God and who are we in relation. God is eternal, blissful, full of knowledge. What more can you want than to come to the sobriety of realizing that ultimate truth? And then when it comes to gambling, broadly defined, I think, well, okay, that's easy enough. I actually just walked past a casino and I'm actually right next to a horse racing track right here in Bangor, Maine. Okay, it's easy enough not to go inside and make any trifecta wagers. That's easy. But why is that? And it's because what sense is there trying to cheat yourself to some material advantage when everything, if you don't surrender it, it's going to be mercifully taken from you, so that you can become purer and clearer and closer to God. Time ultimately is the great thief, but your great friend, because it will purify you, whether you go willingly or kicking and screaming. And then maybe somewhat more esoterically, when I think of illicit sex, it's there's so many ways to think about that, but why should we seek something temporary and exploitative when the greatest union is already there, available to you, within you, in your relationship or your potential relationship with Krishna? If for God's sake you could just wake up for a moment in those 16 rounds, for a second, just remember who you are and where you are and what you are and who you serve and what joy there is in that relationship. And then when it comes to the 16 rounds, well, gosh, that seems like maybe time consuming, but it seems like such a simple thing, almost too simple. And just remember it's simple because we live in such a fallen age. We're short-lived. We don't have the time. We don't have the attention span. We don't we don't have the humility. We don't have the presence of mind. We need something simple. And thankfully, God is so unbelievably merciful to have given us something simple. That Prabhupada came and shared this with us. And don't question it, don't analyze it, just embrace it. And these are all things, instead of it being a list of check boxes and commandments of things you didn't do, these are actually sort of like those like ABC reminders of Krishna consciousness that I know I need every day. And they're all affirmative. And the hours will go by chanting, and you'll never get tired. You never cease getting happier as you reflect upon all of these things. So anyway, that's overly long-winded, but I hadn't wasted any of your time in a while, so I figured I would do it on this great Easter. And remember, Lord Jesus said, the two highest commandments are to love God with all your mind, heart, and soul, and to love your neighbor as thyself. Hare Krishna.
Wow, Rich, what was that? You kept quiet for a while, and then you said that. That's unbelievably, you packaged the whole philosophy and did everything in an affirmative way. Beautiful, Rich. You're such a poet. There's 26 qualities of a Vaishnava, and poetic is one of them. So that's Rich. You embody that, Rich.
More prosaic than you think.
I think it's that head that's empowering you.
He needs his beard back.
And
This thou
beard
shalt
back,
not
yeah.
shave thine beard. What's your problem, Prabhu? I had a friend, but now I don't have a friend.
I still spend my days shoveling manure in cow and goat barns. So
You're my
getting your
brother in
beard?
manure. You're my manure brother. Grow
Hare
your
Krishna.
beard back, man. Grow it back and be a man.
He's not a man, he's a servant. He's a servant. Okay, Adi Purusha Prabhu, are you basking in the sun? Are you sunbathing? All right, I guess, what time is it? It's 8:22. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Don't give up on yourself. Krishna is not giving up on you, so you don't give up on yourself. And stick around. Stick around, like Amrita Kishori, like Yogeshwari, Suzanne, Amish, Pink Yogi of Harlem. Everybody on this call and people listening online, we love you. Stick around. Krishna has wonderful things in store for you, for all of us. And see you again tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam never ends, never stops. Devotional service never stops. That's our lifeline. Yeah, I ran out of words, but thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for giving us this, the greatest gift of the 4 regulative principles of 16 rounds of the morning class of the Association of the Devotees. Thank you, Prabhupada, for that. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. Love you all. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.